Hello and welcome back to a Football Pundits podcast for our weekly updates on lively discussions about all things football. This has been a very interesting week for football, all for all the fans altogether. I mean, not for me specifically. Chelsea had yet another loss. We won today, but it's not something to we can brag about. I guess United fans are really happy today. You can see the smile on their faces, the big smiles which they were expecting last weekend as well. So this is something which they were expecting today, and I guess City is still breathing down your necks, but that's about it. We do not have our usual panelists today due to some technical issues and related to internet. I mean that's the sad thing about pandemic. I mean we have to rely too much on the internet to make this thing happen, but we can't do anything about it. So did you guys catch the FA Cup match today?
We did, yeah, I
Yeah, I
did.
did.
What,
We're
what,
It
what
was a
happy.
fun game.
What do you guys think of that?
Okay, so I did not want United to win today just because I want United to focus a lot more on the Premier League. But it's a good thing that we did win today, and the way we were able to pull out a win, going a goal down early, then getting back, then Liverpool were able to equalize to 2-2, and then Bruno Fernandes with his magic right foot was able to put a free kick in the far corner, and we were able to get all the go to the next round. So I didn't want the result, but it's better to win against Liverpool than to lose.
Lose against
Yeah,
Liverpool.
So yeah,
I guess it's good because you don't want Liverpool to get their mojo back from this victory. I mean, it's this loss is
yeah,
going to sting more them now.
yeah.
I guess
So Mo Salah
the
scored
free kick,
twice today.
and I guess the free kick for Fernandes, you need to give credit to Pogba as well for ducking at the right time because that duck was really crucial. I guess I mean Thiago
Yeah.
and Pogba both ducking out of the ways to give Fernandes the goal and the ability.
Everything that was supposed to happen last week happened this week. Fernandez should have scored that free kick. He scored today. Pogba, we should have scored 2 goals. We scored three today. So everything just fell in place. It's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, I
We're
guess.
happy. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean before we move forward, do remember to like, share, and subscribe to our videos, and do remember to follow us on all our social media handles mentioned on the top of your screens, and do not forget to click on the bell icon as well. So let's dive right
So
into it and see
Rohil, I want to ask you about the Chelsea performance today. How did you feel like Tammy was able to score a hat trick and your main star striker Timo Werner again missed a penalty? So
I'm not gonna. I'm not. I mean, I did catch the highlights of it. I mean, it's too early for me to get up and watch the match. But I mean, Tammy did play very well. I saw the game, but and based on the highlights which I saw, I think there was still a lot of defensive errors from Chelsea. I mean, they were able to. They were Luton was able to create a lot of opportunities in the second half. I saw that, which was very evident in the first half also we were 2-0 up in the first 25-30 minutes, but after that it was still a very lackluster performance. I think this is becoming one of my favorite words throughout this podcast. So I mean I've seen this a lot from Chelsea this week. I mean I guess the thing is that you not do not have the same back four playing week in and week out.
Mhm.
I saw the first. I saw the goal which was conceded by Kepa. It was a goal which only Kepa could concede, I guess, because I think it was something which could have been saved. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not in his position, obviously, but I think it could have been saved based on the regulation saves I've seen throughout the football matches I've seen throughout my life so far. So I think it was still it should have been an easy save. But credits to Luton as well. Also, they had a really good attack in the second half, and I guess bringing on Hudson Odoi in the second half also was a good substitution from Lampard. But Lampard is definitely under pressure, so let's
Mhm.
keep that aside right now and see what happens.
Mhm.
But okay, so let's talk about the midweek fixtures we had this week. Let's start with the Arsenal Newcastle match. Rishabh, did you catch that match, or what were your thoughts on that specifically?
Yeah, I think so. Arsenal, I'm kind of now worried. I know we're going to speak about Arsenal versus United, which is happening next week. So I'm kind of now worried of that game as well because Arsenal are playing really really well. They found their mojo back in front of the goal. They're scoring goals. They're not even conceding, even though even though even though they played against Newcastle, but yeah, they've started. They've kept I think 5 clean sheets in the last 6, I guess. If I'm not wrong, yeah, I think so. So and then Aubameyang scoring, and then Saka and Smith Rowe, and I think these guys have I mean, Aubameyang was obviously struggling, but the arrival of Smith Rowe and Saka into the the playing 11 has definitely transformed this Arsenal team. And I'm just hearing rumors about Martin Odegaard coming to Arsenal.
So I guess the deal is signed, right? I mean, that's what I heard in the morning. The loan deal is approved. I guess the medical.
I heard that it's still under progress. It's still not confirmed.
I think the paperwork is pending, but it's a certainty that if everything goes well, Odegaard is coming to Arsenal.
Yeah. So that's going to be a good signing. Like they need a creative midfielder, which he is. So let's see like how Arsenal keep on improving from here. And to talk about Newcastle, I think they're in dismal form. They need to find something, and Steve Bruce is definitely under pressure as well over there. I think it's been 8 games in a row where he's not won, and I think there's about 6 losses in there. So it's not clicking.
I saw the game last night between Aston and Newcastle as well. So
it's not clicking, man.
I guess the first goal which Ollie Watkins scored, which actually ended his 9 games drought, which I'm very happy about. I have him in my fantasy league team, so finally some points for me. But it was a defensive error from the Magpies in the first goal itself. And even in the second goal, which was not completely, I mean, not the second goal which was scored by Traore. I mean, it was definitely a beautiful strike, but they should have been. I think Newcastle can do much better, just like Sheffield. I mean, they are struggling to just get the win under their belts. I think Newcastle is a much better team than they are playing right now.
The problem with Newcastle is that they are not able to. They don't have any players who want to run, who are like pacey. Like they don't have any players like that.
Is Wilson right now injured or
no? He's still playing. He's still playing.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess
he's not a pacey player. He's not a pacey player.
He's not a pacey player, but he is one of those strikers who has churned out goals week in and week out in the previous seasons for different teams.
See, the Wilson is a poacher. He's not one who's going to dribble past 4 defenders and score. He's not that kind of striker, right? He's just a poacher, so he needs to get those balls into his feet. If he doesn't, he will just be giving you 2 points every week.
I guess so. So the next, I mean, obviously, let's move to the United game against Fulham, which was yet another victory from coming back from behind for United. What did you think of that? Kshitij, I mean, this was definitely another convincing win for you guys.
So not a convincing victory, but yeah, we are I spoke to Rishabh just after the game, and we have been getting together because we are seeing United win for the first time in a
very long
while.
It's been almost 7-8 years since we were this excited watching United play, which says a lot about the managerial jobs and the kind of thing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing currently at Manchester United, which is really good. So the match started off with Fulham scoring an early goal. It was a good pass, and Lookman was able to put that chance away. Then United slowly grew into the game, and that is why the kind of goal Cavani scored. United does not have any other striker that can put those kind of chances away. Like Cavani is the only instinctive striker. The other strikers that we have, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, they are finished strikers that they'll beat a man, they'll curl the ball on the side of the net, and they'll hit a part shoot. But Cavani, even today against Liverpool, Bruno Fernandes put in a beautiful cross, and Cavani is the only kind of striker that could actually hit that kind of shot towards the goal. Unfortunately, it came back off the post, but he was able to put that chance away. And what about the Pogba goal? I mean, that was just...
The Pogba goal was something of a stroke of brilliance. I mean, I remember last weekend also I was talking to Rishabh about the game, And we were just talking about, I mean, whether Pogba will be sold at the end of the season or not. But right now, according to Rishabh, he thinks that, I mean, he should be playing in the team because right now he is giving like one of the best performances of his
Yeah.
career for United.
Yeah, I feel like he's
What he
trying
was
to.
playing for the Juventus, but for
I
United.
feel like he's trying to up his reputation. Like, okay,
Even I do that.
or either it's that, or either Ole is telling him like, hey, you can leave, but we need money for you. Like we won't sell you for 30 million to Southampton, as I said before. So yeah, so it's more about like just going out there and playing, and then if we can get somewhere between 70 to 80 million for you, and if Real comes in, which I don't believe they will, but yeah.
I think
He's
Juventus and
good.
PSG are the only two horses that can actually afford for Pogba at the moment.
Juventus and who?
But Juventus and PSG.
PSG. Okay, but
Yeah.
PSG. I don't think PSG.
I do.
Maybe
It's highly
PSG can
likely,
come for
but
him.
yeah, I think Juventus is the most likely place. But other than that, PSG, because Juventus Pirlo likes Pogba. Juventus also very much likes Pogba, but Juventus also does not have too much money, so it would be interesting to see how
Yeah.
that deal goes. Uh,
Agreed.
Yeah, a lot
but
to speculate over the next few months for
yeah.
Pogba and a lot of the big players who are who are out of contract this season. So I don't remember City. Who did City play against this weekend?
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
And
So yeah, I mean,
I think Aston Villa were robbed of the points. I really do. Like
I
the
mean,
kind of goal they conceded, that was definitely an offside. And what is VAR doing there? Not calling a flag.
Yeah, even I agree with what Dean Smith said
Uh,
after the game. Like, it was farcical. It is, you need to go and open the rule book and actually rewrite that, because should never be a goal. Like,
I guess
they were
now that the Manchester clubs are back on the top, I guess the rivalry is getting back.
it's not about rivalry. It's about the goal, right? Like, the goal should never have been given. Like, it was not a goal. It was
yeah,
not a goal. Like, do you, Rohit, do you believe that it was a goal? Do you believe that it was a goal?
I mean, I think so. I mean, the thing is, as you said. I mean, the VAR rule playbook is just so vague right now that you're not able to
It's not
define.
VAR. It's just the. I don't know. Like, I don't think it was related to VAR. It was just like they were seeing. They were seeing it from VAR perspective, because they were just replaying. But there was no VAR technically involved in that. Like, right? So, like,
yeah. I
yeah.
don't think that it should have gone to VAR.
Yeah.
The flagsman would have flagged that. The referee could have called it off, and then the VAR. After all these checks, we have VAR, right? VAR is our last thing, which makes sure that the decisions that is put on to the field is the best to the ability of the referees, right? And if VAR is making mistakes like that, I don't see the point of keeping VAR around.
I
Like,
mean,
it was such a blatant
I mean,
error.
you remember what Michael Oliver said like a few weeks ago. I mean, if you have VAR, you're still gonna
No,
criticize it, and if
I
it's not gonna
understand
be,
that.
you're still gonna criticize why it's not being used. So I mean, there are always two sides of this coin, right? I
I
mean,
don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with VAR. It's just, in one game you follow one rule, in the other game you follow another rule, and that
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
not good. You need to be consistent throughout.
that's something which we've already said so many times. I mean, VR needs to have a consistent rule playbook, which FIFA also needs to establish, and UEFA also needs to establish, since they're both different entities at the moment. So,
Like, if the referee is not
But
sure, he could just ask the referee on the pitch to just take a look on the screen. Like, that's in that case, it's all up to the referee, right? The VR has washed off their hands, and it's entirely up to the referee. But the referee needs to, check and go, and that goal should never stand. Like, I was so frustrated when I saw that goal. Like that, yeah. I do not have words to explain that fact.
I mean, yeah, okay, that's fine, I guess. I mean, you can't say anything about it now. But okay, I mean, moving. I don't know if you guys caught the. I mean, coming back to my team now. I mean, it's Leicester versus Chelsea, which was a big game for us, and Lampard again being put into yet another time under pressure for his managerial position now. I don't know what's going on with Lampard. I mean, did you guys did you guys catch Leicester versus Chelsea this midweek? Or
I saw the second goal for that. What's his guy name?
Madison?
Your right back.
Reece James.
Williams.
Reece James.
Reece James. Yeah. What is Reece James doing like in that case? He completely left Madison
Yeah,
unmarked,
I
let
mean,
him stroll in the box.
the first goal which NDD scored, I think it was a
Yeah,
pure
that's a good
fluke.
goal. Yeah.
That was a pure fluke, according to
Yeah.
me, because Madison had the ball intended towards Barnes, and Barnes actually just didn't connect the ball at all, and then somehow NDD got like a lot more time to take the strike, and that somehow like would hit the woodwork and then went inside. So I mean, I can't say anything about it. That's something which is like against Chelsea, which is going on right now, and like nothing is clicking for them. That is something which is happening. And when we talk about the match, I mean, in itself, Chelsea's defense is very abysmal at the moment. They are not clicking at all. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw so many shots being taken outside of the box against Chelsea. And I mean, credits to Mendy, he did decently well in that match. And even though we did lose, but he had some decent saves in that match against Madison and NDD and all those other players as well. But Lampard is definitely under pressure now, and based on the rumors which I'm hearing right now, it's that the board is asking him to resign rather than the board sacking him because of his stature at the club. So I don't know what's happening. I really don't have any words, and what actually ZH needs to do, or what the attack needs to do at this moment, is something which is.
He needs to start getting wins. That's the simple way, right?
I guess it's the same.
I mean, if for any reason you guys would have lost today against Luton, it was inevitable that he was never going to.
I don't. Yeah, I guess. I mean, if the loss against Luton came in, I mean, we would have the news which we were talking about right now would have been Lampard getting sacked. But that's not going to happen against a club like Luton. I mean, let's see what the draws come out in a few days, in a few hours or something. When the next.
But you have a tough fixture again coming up against Wolves, so.
Yeah, but that's a home game for us. So let's see. I mean, I guess the
Wolves themselves are not playing well. So you guys
that's a winnable game. Yeah.
It's a blessing in disguise for us. Maybe we could actually start performing a little bit better. Werner and Havertz, it's the same story. I can't keep on discussing the same thing again and again about them.
They should be on the bench. Let's just not focus on them, but they should
be dropped. Yeah, they should be dropped.
Definitely not coming in and actually playing, right? Yeah. So it should be other people who should be playing.
Yeah,
I think it would be better if Chelsea Lampard dropped almost all his summer signings and played the same team that he started last year with. That would be a lot better for him, like, because he needs to get players playing for him. Like, if the players are not playing for their manager, there is no point like keeping that manager around. That's the main issue. I have.
And so I mean but the big matchup which we had this week was obviously we cannot not discuss about Liverpool versus Burnley, where Liverpool lost the match because of a penalty, which has been a talking point for Liverpool for so long now.
The moment you said, I was like, which big matchup was there? I was like,
I mean, it has opened up a 6-point gap for United now with Liverpool. With Liverpool, I'm not saying like. With City they have just a 1-point gap. I mean, potentially City is still sitting at the top right now.
Yeah.
But the big matchup was obviously between Liverpool and, I mean, again the front three are not clicking at all. Today's performance against Man United was at least much better. I mean, Klopp maybe was able to fire something under their asses and get the performance which they wanted from the attack.
I think the difference was just because it was a cup game. If it was a league game, I still don't feel Liverpool would have scored 2 goals.
Maybe. Yeah, but I guess the thing which we've already discussed is that that Henderson and that Fabinho, the creative midfielders who are not playing at their original position and sitting at the defense, is something which is hampering now, and it's definitely being a little bit of a cry for help for them to actually sign some defender, so that they could actually free up one of those two to get into the midfield position.
But Matip has now come back, so against Spurs he would be playing in the defense. So maybe Henderson. I'm guessing Henderson would be the one who's going to move up into the midfield rather than Fabinho. If Fabinho is still a CDM, he can still play in the center defense. position.
And it's not like Liverpool didn't have chances in the game. Like I watched the highlights of the game. Divock Origi had a gilt edge opportunity. Like he was one on one with the keeper, and he managed to hit the
But
crossbar.
that was okay. I mean, I don't blame him because it was still
No,
out. He was taking the shot from outside the box, and it's still, it's difficult to finish. Like we're
I mean,
talking about it, and we're
I mean,
saying,
look. You can obviously defend and you can obviously criticize, but the thing is that these are the kind of situations which you train for as a footballer. Like
yeah,
in your practice sessions, you do train for these kind of situations, and you expect to score. I mean, the pressure in these situations is always going to be on the keeper, and it's the keeper who's going to be coming up with the exceptional save, and you'll be praising him. But it's not something you come up and say, "Oh my God, like what Fernando Torres used to do for Chelsea at some point," and like he's like missing the goal completely and not finding the woodwork or anything. So that, I mean, you blame these kind of
but
positions
Royal,
on.
that was something very different. Like he was missing from, like, 1 yard out. Like, yeah. So those were. I still remember, against United versus Liverpool, he missing like that. He almost, beat the goalkeeper also, and he just had to just touch the ball,
tap
and
it
that's
in,
it.
yeah.
And he put it wide, and all the United support. I still see that video. I was like, they're just laughing at it.
Bloopers.
What the hell are you doing?
So I mean, yeah, that's the midweek. I mean, definitely we saw like the top of the table getting changed 3 times this week. So and we do expect that to keep happening for the foreseeable future, I guess, because of the close proximity between Leicester United and City. Any predictions like in the coming week? I mean, Rishabh and I, we were talking about this in the during the midweek as well, that City definitely has a very tough fixture coming up in the month of February. They have like
Moving into
really
March,
really
yeah.
tough fixtures till the mid March actually. So I mean, it's going to be really testing for them, and I think United could actually really establish their lead at that point.
Yeah, and now De Bruyne is gone, so that is
And
Hmm.
De Bruyne is
That is a big
missing for another 2-3 weeks, so that is
6 weeks.
something which
He's
is
gone for
definitely
6
going
weeks.
to hamper them now.
He's gone for
six
6
weeks. Yeah,
weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
So Sterling is something who needs to step up at this point now. So let's see what happens then. But coming back to coming back to Premier League now, and talking about the next week. Next week we have like 2 big matches coming up. On Thursday we have the Liverpool Spurs match, the one which actually started our podcast. So coming back to that one now, this is something which is going to really be exciting, I guess, because at that point, I still remember when the Spurs Liverpool match was there. Spurs was sitting comfortably at the top and were actually gunning for the title, and Chelsea were right behind them, and Liverpool were also neck and neck at that point with them. But since then, both of the teams have dropped off significantly. I mean, December month was very, very poor for Spurs, and now January is very poor for Liverpool. So I guess both teams are really struggling at the moment. Who do you think are going to be the clear favorites in this game, or
I
is there
think
going to be any clear favorite?
I think Spurs are definitely the favorites now for sure.
But
Like,
but the tactic which Spurs employs throughout the matches, do you think it's going to be?
that is the thing. So at that time when they played on December 12th, I don't remember the date, yeah, but December 12th, I guess.
Yeah, 9
So
12, something like that.
yeah, so if at that time Liverpool strikers were still going for it, like they were still pushing and they wanted to score and all that stuff was happening. Right now, I don't see any of the Liverpool strikers going and scoring. Except for today. Let's not take today's performance into account because that was a cup game, as I said. It wasn't a league game, so it's going to be tough because they and now it's going to be on Spurs' backyard. So it's going to be tough. I feel like if Mourinho wants to finish the job in 45 minutes, he can. I feel
Hmm.
that if he wants to do it, he can do it. Like he can set the team in a way where he can just completely destroy Liverpool and finish the game in 45 minutes. But I know Mourinho, he won't do that. He would still play the game out and see if there is a counter-attacking opportunity, and then from there he will take it. But I
But
still
don't you
like,
think like with the firepower they have with Kane and Son? I mean, Son is definitely not clicking at the moment. I mean, he's not scoring at the same rate he was.
not clicking. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, that's what I'm changing. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not scoring at the same rate he was, or but he definitely has a big impact. He's still contributing with Kane a lot. So do you still think they should still keep going with this strategy? I mean, this is something which, I mean, that's why when you play against a club like Sheffield, that's why I guess you're able to score, because they are anyway struggling for form and not able to score at all.
But you know the difference between Sheffield and the previous games, that they've always gone in and actually taken the leads, but late on in the game they would concede, right? That was the good bit of that performance. Like when they went on and kept on attacking, and they eventually scored 3 goals, and they knew that okay, this is not gonna now our lead is not going to disappear now. Because if they did not play like that, they would have again Sheffield would have in some way they would have just found a goal. Either a deflection or something would have happened in the 88th minute, and they would have just scored. So again, Mourinho's tactics would have been blamed. But that performance I actually liked from Spurs, because they just kept on attacking, and they got their goals. So I think that should be the strategy against Liverpool, because Liverpool are struggling in terms of confidence right now. They are not clicking in front of goal. Their defense, you already know, is kind of weak. So it's not the same defense as we're used to seeing. So even though they're not conceding goals, but they're giving away a lot of opportunities, right? So people are able to get in, and it's okay. Yeah. So
Kshitij, do you think like Salah's performance from today is going to affect and give them a confidence in getting a victory against maybe Mourinho in the midweek match?
If they had come off with a win today, I think that gives a lot more confidence. But they did end up losing, so that would still like kick a bit. It would take a little bit of confidence out of the Klopp's team. I think this is a match that I would like to watch, because I just cannot call this game. Like, this is perfect for Mourinho, a team that is not in any confidence. Like he did similar to City when they were not in much confidence. They sat back, they hit them on the counter, and they knew that City did not have anything in their gas to actually come out and score. Liverpool are in a very similar position right now.
And
So
Liverpool, yeah, and Liverpool
yeah,
are yet again playing another away match, so that is
I
definitely
understand.
going to be.
So if Tottenham are able to score any sort of goal, Liverpool at the moment do not have any sort of firepower to get back on them. Like if
Even if they do, they might end up conceding in the counter attack, which I think
yeah,
Spurs will
which is true.
capitalize on.
Yeah, which is true. So it's gonna be an interesting game, but I still like Tottenham seems to have an upper hand here. And if Tottenham wins, like it would be significant, because Liverpool would drop out of the top four at that
Well, yeah,
moment.
I guess that's another thing. I mean, when you
Yeah,
look at the points table right now, it's United sitting at the top comfortably. Not so comfortably. I mean,
not
they only
comfortably.
have a 2 point lead over City and Leicester and even Leicester. But Liverpool, who are at 30 with 34 points, sitting at the fourth position, they will definitely drop out of the top four.
City will drop points now for sure. Like I
Yeah,
and the game they have coming up against Gladbach, I'm worried. I'm worried for them now. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't know. I mean, who might be able to get back into the squad at that point, because there might be some people who might get fit. So, who might actually, I don't know when Jota is making a comeback. So, Jota might come back that time. I don't know.
I think it's somewhere between first week of March.
Okay, so I guess he won't be available then. But at least for the first fixture, he might be available for the second round. And I mean, looking at the games in hand for clubs like Everton, Aston Villa, and even Spurs, who have another game in hand right now. I mean, Liverpool are potentially sitting at number 7 right now. This is something which is really concerning at this point, because you do not
yeah,
expect a club who was coasting through the title last year at this stage, and actually had definitely won the title at this stage by last year, are somewhere even struggling to get into the top 6 right now. So that is something of a very big concern now. So
Thanks for pointing it out. You made me very happy. Liverpool are 7th. Yes.
So this like explains, like any club that gets some sort of injuries, it is very difficult for a club to cope at that point. So if Liverpool had even just one of their top players injured last year, they do not win their title. Like if they had an injury to Van Dijk, Salah, Henderson, even Henderson, or Alisson, they do not get the title last year. So
I
it's
mean,
very
you know,
important.
I, just a quick point here, but the kind of seasons that we've had in the last 3 years, that is something that we'll probably never get in the
Yeah,
near. Like the teams that were below them were still in so much rebuilding phase that it was never. And I'm not blaming pandemic right now. If there wasn't even a pandemic, if even Van Dijk was not injured, I still don't see Liverpool coasting through to the title. Yes, they would not be in a dismal form like they are right now, but they would not still have been coasting through the title.
I mean, you cannot never predict those things right now, right? I mean,
I'm not I'm saying because even when Van Dijk was here, like he was playing in the team, he was still like they were still conceding goals and they were conceding more
but
goals.
that
Like,
is something which has happened throughout the seasons for them since even when Van Dijk was there last year also. I mean, they were conceding goals. It's not like they were not conceding goals at all. I mean, definitely the ratio increased this season, yeah. I mean, but the percentage increased this year. But last year also, I remember they always played a game where they used to just outscore the opponents. They were never a club who used to go for the clean sheets. That is why, I mean, when we used to talk about FPL and like getting Liverpool defenders in our team, we were like, okay, they're not going to give us any points because I mean, they are not going to get clean sheets. So you do not keep the defenders and the keepers in your team. I remember that very specifically when I was used to talk with Kshitij and you as well. So I guess, I mean, that is something that wouldn't have changed, but it would have at least opened up the opportunity for Fabinho and Henderson to play at the center and maybe give more creative chances, get more creative balls in for Liverpool.
yeah,
Because
that is
even with Thiago and Jota getting injured, it doesn't matter because that is still the same core team which they had last year.
yeah,
But
that
that
is what I'm saying, right? Like
yeah,
you're I'm not saying that Liverpool were still going to lose. I'm just saying that we are never going to see that 199 point totals ever. Probably not ever again, but not in the coming 10 years at least. I don't see that happening. The teams are starting to rebuild their teams now, and they're starting to get stronger.
yeah,
Yes, yes, this is a asterisk season. Yes, you know, certain teams are not still playing, like certain big teams are still not playing well, and you see like the likes of Aston Villa, Southampton, Leicester in the top six. But do you really see them in the top six come May? I don't see that. Like they're eventually going to drop out. So yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And the clubs are actually investing in good managers now. Like Everton has Ancelotti, which is a great manager. If he manages to stick around for the next 2 to 3 years, he can actually take Everton to actually a good top six position
I mean,
and
Premier League
teach
has a
with.
lot of money now. That's the thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
and there are so many jobs available. Like, people want to come and manage. Like, Ancelotti is a great manager, but club like Real Madrid or PSG don't want to hire them right now because yeah,
mm,
they don't have that kind of uh,
money and
not the money. It's like their aura is gone. They don't
yeah,
have that kind of aura
yeah,
again now. So they're still able to manage, but they're managing the clubs who are just below like the likes of the top six. So even Mourinho, right? If
yeah.
do you feel like Mourinho when he gets sacked from Tottenham, do you really feel like he's gonna go and manage some other top six team? I
He'll
don't.
come back to the Premier League.
Yeah, he's
But
gonna start managing.
it depends on where he actually if he gets sacked, where he actually ends up
Yeah.
taking Spurs or at what position he takes them. Like obviously, I mean, right now you don't have Gareth Bale again clicking, and there's a chance that he might go back
Not
to.
even about clicking. He's not even playing him. Like I don't
He's
even
not
understand
even.
that.
So that's more or less the same thing. I mean, it's not clicking and not playing is the same thing, kind of. So
He's a very costly luxury for Tottenham. I don't know why they keep
I
him
have
out.
I have no idea why they're wasting money. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Like you could have actually bought someone else and actually played him. If they
yep,
didn't want to play him, why did you bring him?
yeah, I guess right now the thing is that Bale has yet to prove that his exclusion from Madrid was not justified. He's not made his case yet. By the looks of it, right now Madrid was very were right on point to actually exclude him from the team. So
yep.
I mean, yeah, let's
I
not.
don't see that happening. Like Gareth Bale is someone who seems to be like very happy that he has a contract with the club. He seems to be very happy that he's getting the hefty salary that he's getting, and he does not bother to play anymore. Like I wanna make the golf comment, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
I was going to say that.
I was waiting. We were waiting for the golf comment. Yeah. So.
Which is very bad because he's a Champions League winner. Like he has 4 Champions League titles. He has won Champions Leagues for the club. He has single-handedly won the like I just cannot. He should be playing. Like what is he doing with his career? I'm not so sure.
So yeah, I mean, coming back. So now I'm moving forward to the big match. I think it's going to be the biggest match of this week. I'm not. It's the Liverpool Spurs is not the biggest match. I think United and Arsenal is going to be the bigger match of the two this week. Based on the form, I mean that's what I feel. I mean, based on the form, I think it's going to be a bigger match. Like Rishabh said, like Arsenal is definitely playing one of the best footballs they've played in as many months since the league has started. So that is something which is going to be very important to see. And United has to put their best forward to keep their title hopes alive and keep themselves in the hunt at the top of the table. So, Kshitij, what are your thoughts? I mean, what is something that you expect from Ole and Arteta in this match?
I think this would be a very end-to-end game. This would be a game where you would see a lot of attacking football, a lot of defensive errors. This would be a lot better game than we had on Old Trafford because both the teams were sort of defensive in that. But Arsenal suddenly have found their form. Saka, like Lacazette, uh, Smith Rowe, they are all clicking together. They are playing some good football under Mikel Arteta. Plus they are scoring a lot more goals than they were at that point. So this would be a good game, but Arsenal did end up losing to Southampton. I think it was yesterday. It was uh,
Yeah.
like they were not able to score a goal, and Southampton were able to shut them out. So I am actually because it's an away game. I am actually confident that United might be able to get a result out of it, and I
But
hope they
did
do
you say the
because
same thing against Liverpool? Didn't you say the
Don't
same
say
thing
that.
against
Don't
Liverpool?
say that. Don't say that.
I'm just saying a result. I'm not saying they're gonna win. I'm
Okay,
just gonna say a
okay.
result.
But the result is anyway
So
going to be there, right? I mean, whether
so
it's
yeah. So because I hope United is able to like keep continuing their good form, which is like nice to see after a long while.
okay. So yeah, Rishabh. Yesterday when Aubameyang was suddenly excluded from the squad, citing personal issues against Southampton, he didn't play the match, and Arteta said that they're going to give him some time, and maybe the issues are unknown at this moment, I don't know whether he's going to be featuring in the squad against United. Do you think it's going to be have a impact in the game? I mean, even though Obama has not been very influential in the game in the recent weeks.
I mean, yeah, I agree with I agree with Shida. It's gonna be an end-to-end game. But I mean, not end-to-end. I feel like Arsenal are the ones who are going to be pushing. Again, Ole is going to set it up in a way where they keep on coming and they go and United go in the counter and finish it off. I feel like it's going to be a good fixture, but I'm kind of worried in a way. Yeah, I'm kind of worried because Arsenal are playing well, and they are good in front of goal. And I said this before when we were due to play Liverpool. United are still very. It's they're not very good in the defense, right? So they're still a bit shaky. I feel like, yeah, if there's a chance that is provided to the Arsenal front strikers, they'll probably finish it off.
And the reverse fixture went in favor of Arsenal, if I remember correctly from last time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was Pogba's fault who lost us that game because
Maybe he will redeem himself based on the form he is in right now. So
he probably will. Like, he's the one who's doing all these things for us in the last 3-4 games. So
I mean, he's definitely right up there with Fernandes at this point, I think,
yeah,
because of the
yeah.
impact he's having.
Like you said before, he's become undroppable now. Like
Yeah.
I read somewhere, not somewhere, but like I read an article where Ole was saying about Van de Beek, like he's getting frustrated because of the game time, but he said like I can't do anything about it because the team that I'm playing, they're playing so well, like I don't want to drop any one of them in my playing time. So he just has to wait it out. That's it. Like he can't help he can't help it. Like if he bought him in, it's because he knew that there are certain things that he needs to improve. But since he's come in, United's player have stepped up, and so you can't say
And
anything about
this is something which Mourinho might be thinking: where was this player when I wanted him to play like this?
it. Yeah, it's the attitude problem, like with him, with Pogba. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still don't know. And I'm not going to discuss Pogba's transfer situation right now, but I still don't know if he's going to stay at the club or no. But that's a future discussion when we
Yep.
when
When
we
we go towards the month of May, we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
when we are lifting the Premier League titles.
Yeah, let's see what happens in that aspect. But okay, so what are your predictions for the game? I mean, for both the games. I mean, I didn't ask you about the Liverpool Spurs prediction as well. I'm gonna start keeping account of who has the better predictions by the end of the season. So we'll see who is more on point in these big matches.
Mm.
So let's see. What were your predictions on? Okay, let's see. I mean, on Arteta. I mean, Arsenal and United game scoreline prediction.
I feel like a United win, maybe a close win, yeah, 2-1, something like that. So they're
Okay,
gonna win, yeah.
2-1 for you. Same for City.
I'm gonna go with a 1-0 United win, with Zaka giving us a similar penalty as Pogba gave. So
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, based on United's performances in the big matches as usual, I think it's again heading for a for a. I don't know if it's going to be very end-to-end game or it's something which will have a big impact in the game. I mean, I was not expecting the game which they had today. I mean, I was again expecting them to maybe have a 1-0 victory, but yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1 in favor of United. I'm
Hmm.
gonna go bold and say it's 3-1 because
So one thing I just realized, I'm just looking at the fixtures, but City play before United's game. So if they win their game and they're gonna play against Sheffield, so they win, they go top of the table. United will have to win to go top of the table. If they don't,
yeah,
I think even if they draw, they still don't be top of the table.
yeah,
So they're gonna be joint
that's a good
top, but
incentive
not.
to have.
I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
based on the goal differences, it's United, it's City who's
So,
going to be on
so
the
City.
top.
United already have that advantage. Like, okay, I mean that kind of
Incentive.
yeah,
Yeah,
the incentive and the confidence. Like, okay, now we have to.
But the thing is, right now, United cannot. I don't think United should focus too much on the points table or think about where City is at because City definitely has a game in hand. So they anyway potentially at this point they are ahead of him, ahead of United. So you cannot say. I mean, what will happen in that aspect. So I still think
But
that
where
United
do
should
you
not
get
focus.
but where do you get the confidence from? Like there are no fans, there's nothing happening inside the stadium, so you need some kind of incentive to go out there and perform. Like you need some kind of confidence.
I guess the only motivation you need right now is to just go out there and play your best game possible and hope the best result comes in your favor because
No,
sometimes it happens.
I agree. That's why I said, like, the best chance for United winning this year's league title is going out there, playing in, week out. And
And
that's
the
why I'm
way
not
they have been playing,
disappointed.
yeah,
That's
just
why I'm not disappointed if they lost the FA Cup. Yeah, I'll be I'll be okay if they lost the semi-final when they come, and that's kind of becoming our tradition. But even if they lost,
uh,
because the FA Cup semi-final would still somewhere be around April, right? So I'm okay. I'm okay with that because at that time, if we are in the league, if we're still in the hunt for a league title, I would just say forget everything and just focus on these last 4 games of
yep,
I think you have. I think Ole has the same amount of semi-final losses as so Alex Ferguson had throughout his entire United managerial career. So they both have, I think, three semi-final losses right now.
and Klopp had 3 final losses before he won the league, before he won actually a final.
yeah,
Yes, I guess. I mean, you can say that way also. You can see you can see it in a positive light. So I mean, but right now, Ole is not able to crack that semi-final target. So let's see what happens in that.
He will. He
And
will. He will at one point of time, of course. He will.
what are your predictions for Liverpool and Spurs matchup?
Yeah, I think 2-1 Spurs.
Okay,
I'm
and
gonna go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0. I think it's going to be 1-0 Spurs victory max. But that's about it. I mean, I don't see Liverpool having a very big impact in the game because of the style of play Mourinho has. So there you have it, folks. This brings an end to our discussion for this week. I mean, we're sorry we didn't have the same amount of panelists we usually have and couldn't produce the same banter always. But it was fun, a fun and a for fun discussion to bring out to you guys. Do let us know in the comment section what do you think about the predictions and the score lines you think will happen for the Liverpool versus Spurs and Arteta and sorry, Arsenal and United game. So let's see what happens. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe, and please remember to click the bell icon and also follow us on all the social media handles which I mentioned on the top list. Thank you.